Welcome back to It's Not a Sport.
Alright, welcome back to It's Not a Sport. We got a great show for you this week. We talk about Comic-Con since it ended about a week ago. And it's just going to be me this week. Same old, same old. So moving into esports, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Blizzard and the Overwatch League for having their first World Championship. And the victors, which were London Spitfires, congratulations to them. And also congratulations to the runner-up with second place, which is Philadelphia, and third, which is New York Excelsior. In terms of League of Legends, in an ALCS, Liquid and 100 Thieves are tied for first. Echo Fox, FlyQuest, and Optic are tied, Echo Fox and FlyQuest are tied for third. Optic is tied for fifth. Counterlogic Gaming, Cloud9, Golden Guardians, TSM are all tied for 6th, with Clutch at the bottom of the standings, tied at 10th. We're going to move on to our next segment. I hope you enjoy all the cool kind of information that came out of Comic-Con this year. Let's move on. So, San Diego Comic-Con is it's the E3 of superheroes and comic books. It's where DC and Marvel, Disney announce their big movie plans, and they try to hype up the crowd, and etc. etc. There are a lot of interesting reveals this year. We have I'll get to the CW stuff. Mainly what I want to look at is, Flash and Arrow. But they have their main, like, Riverdale and Supergirl, and all CW has their thing, too. So I'm going to start with Godzilla, which they do this every couple years, I believe, is they make a Godzilla movie. I believe the last one was, I went to go see it, I don't remember the year, but it had to be maybe 4-ish years ago, I want to say was the last Godzilla movie. And I think the chick who plays 11 from Stranger Things is in it, so I'm actually happy to see her get a gig. That's actually really exciting. To see her actually grow from not just Stranger Things, but to go make big budget movies as well. I don't know. I'm not a huge Godzilla fan. There's nothing huge to say about it. It's cool that they're making another one. Everyone likes their monster battles. The Orville season 2. I like that show. I like it's a spin-off of Star Trek. Yeah, it's like Family Guy Star Trek basically. I like it. We had our first Shazam trailer. Looks really good. I feel like DC's going, because DC really brought it this year, is that I feel like they're, with Shazam, they're going for that kind of Deadpool-ish vibe with the movie, but not as brutal as Deadpool, more like kid humor, like boy becomes, I forget the movie. He switches places with his dad, or the boy becomes an adult. Just movies like that. They're going with that type of humor with Shazam, and I think it's to me what really stands out is that it's really interesting that DC would do Shazam and Aquaman, for that matter, two of their less popular heroes. But I guess when you did when they've done Batman, which Batman hasn't got his own solo movie. He's gotten Batman vs Superman, Justice League, and then Superman has his own solo movie, and then Wonder Woman has her own solo movie and supposed to have a second one. But when Justice League and Superman are a flop, it's interesting to me that they're, like a Swamp Thing movie. I feel like would be really cool. But they put all their baskets on Shazam, which is kind of just like a kid Superman in a way, and Aquaman. I think the Aquaman. Let's roll into that. I think the Aquaman is actually going to be really cool. I think they're trying to change his image. Aquaman in the current comic run, is he's troubled by, the fact that he's king. Same old story with, like, your superhero and your king. He's troubled between the land and, being king. He in the current run, spoilers alert, he's no longer king. Mara, his fiance, they broke off their engagement and now she's queen of Atlantis. But he's not the old joke Aquaman, where he's just like, oh, all you can do is summon fish. He's not that. He's actually a really well-developed character in the comics, and he's really badass. But the general public doesn't know that. They think, oh, Aquaman, all he does is summon fish. So I think that's why they're going with this really kind of badass, like, biker vibe with Aquaman. I hope it works. I hope they eventually do. They're not going to, I don't think, but I hope that they do kind of tune it down to the point where Aquaman is in the comics, where he's still a badass and he's still efficient and he still does things, but he's not a joke. The Purge is getting a TV series. Other than that, Marvel also had Young Justice Season 3. I'm very excited for this. Young Justice Season 3. It was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. They're bringing back two of my favorite shows growing up in kind of my kid years, which were to watch on Fridays at my grandparents', which was Young Justice and Star Wars. Young Justice, they were both shows that got canceled, and they're finally bringing them back, and I feel like they're bringing it back for the 20-year-olds, for the 19-year-olds, for kids like me and my generation to finally feel that sense of good, like, comic book kind of, like, good storytelling again, because, my generation just is, like, doesn't understand why Teen Titans Go is Cartoon Network's biggest, hit, and it has been for years. When really I think, like, when we just want those serious, good storytelling is what we want, and really all we have right now since Adventure Time ended is Star versus the Forces of Evil. But I'm really happy to see Young Justice come back. If you haven't seen Young Justice, it's like Young Justice League, so to speak. And it gets really crazy, and it just brings back all that nostalgia. They also did the Titans live action trailer. I think people were really, I don't know, what I thought of it was another CW show, to be honest. Maybe darker, like what they tried Gotham to be, but it's still just gonna be really weird. Like, just the decision off the bat to make Dick Grayson a cop, is just like, okay, it's gonna be, a cop flick. And then the Raven's always, like, as a character, I think the Raven always worried about her past and her being, part demon, but not like, desperate and scared like a little girl out of a horror movie. So I think it got, like, a lot of backlash for that, because people want, they want the old animated, again, nostalgia Teen Titans, and then they kind of went too far in a way different direction to, like, this dark drama. which is just, I don't know, it's just weird for me. I was also rumors supposed to be it's a part of some DC's trying to push some subscription thing. I think it's called DC Universe, where you get the Titans show, you get comic books, you get all their animations, which are not bad, and I think probably some other shows for like $70 a year. I think they already have kind of a subscription service where you get to pick as many comic books as you want, and they update online. But I think like in terms of on the big screen, DC will never be as successful as Marvel has been. But Marvel Comics will never be as successful now as DC Comics are. But the bad part is that no one buys comics anymore, so you have to be successful on the big screen, or it just doesn't work. The people who make The Simpsons are having Netflix series. Netflix is just, going off. The Flash season 5. You can roll into that. The Flash, again, if you listen to like our CW episode, all these shows are just kind of, This is supposed to be Arrow's last season, but the Flash is just like they've been doing the same formula since day one, and nothing's changed. They said, DeVoe is gonna be a big game changer. He really wasn't. They need to, try something new. Maybe Barry needs to go solo, get rid of the whole, fucking family fiasco thing. But no, okay, they're adding a new family member with his daughter coming in. That's fine. But why is that necessary? It just seems odd to me, and it just seems like, okay, now they're trying to do a time travel thing so they can kind of reboot the show, which is always the wonderful thing about the Flash, is that, you can always Flashpoint reboot things. I didn't watch Legends. I'm not really a big fan of Legends. It's just like really, really bootleg, like Justice League and Justice League of America to me. It's just, I hear it's one of the better ones, but it's really not amazing. Arrow, this is rumored again to be its last season. I think that him being in jail now, him kind of losing everything and trying to surviving, they're going back to kind of the classic Arrow with him solo, and they're really pushing that with like when his team broke up and all that, where he was really kind of becoming, the lone Green Arrow again. Or I'm really interested to see how they're gonna end this, how this season is gonna go, especially if it's the last season, and how they're gonna end it. The Man in the High Castle season 3. The Man in the High Castle is always an interesting. It was an interesting show, and I enjoyed it. It was really boring and really hard to get into, but it's an interesting show just to see, like, what do you think Nazi Germany would be like, and I think maybe it would be more successful if they kind of try and make it more Game of Thrones-y, but I also think that's what it was trying to go for, but it just didn't really hit. Supergirl I never really watched. Black Lightning. Black Lightning season 1, I tried to get into it. As an African American, I thought, that's cool, Black Lightning. But it's not Luke Cage. It's a shitty Luke Cage. It wants to be Luke Cage. It can't be Luke Cage. There's certain things when it just comes to just like black TV shows, it's just like, it just throws me off, because it's really about like, it feels, I remember reading this comment, it's like what white people think black people act like, which is, it's true. I mean, it's like, why does why does black superhero have to guard a neighborhood? The actions just don't really, make sense, and it's like, and then like it just really pushed, they really pushed that like feminism card in it, and it just became about his daughters like real quick. Like I dropped it before it kind of became about that, but it was always kind of about like not really him and more of his daughters. I'm pretty sure it took like 3-4 episodes to him and for him to actually start Black Lightning. So it's like really fucking, it was really bad. Supergirl also has their first transgender superhero. The Gift Season 2, Star Wars. I'm so happy Star Wars actually is coming back. I didn't know that it got canceled. So when I found out it got canceled, and I found out it was coming back, I thought, one, Disney must be running out of ideas. Uh, you know, but that's not really the case. The case is that it got canceled, and I thought that the Yoda episodes that I ended it on it was a good ending. I was satisfied with it. And I didn't know that was it got canceled. I was satisfied with that ending, and now it's back, and it's better than ever, and it's going to tell us what happened to Ahsoka during the execution of Order 66 and during Episode 3, and it's gonna uh, just establish, how the Clone Wars. Well, we know how it ends, but how it kind of leads up to how it truly ends. And it was my favorite show watching as a kid. There's so many great episodes, and I'm so happy that it's returning. I'm looking forward to it. That and Young Justice. Yes. That and Young Justice, Star Wars and Young Justice, I'm looking forward to it so much because we know that I believe they reversed it at the end of Star Wars Rebels, but Ahsoka dies, Vader kills her. So we know how Ahsoka ends, but we don't know what happened to her during that time. Steven Universe is getting a movie. Of course, there's some comic book news. Fantastic Beast 2 got some trailers. Just going through the list. Archer gets season 10. Archer's a funny show. I like it. It's one of the better ones out there. Cloak and Dagger, I believe, is already on air, but yeah, it's confirmed for season 2. I didn't watch Cloak and Dagger, but I didn't hear, bad things. I didn't hear good things. DuckTales is having its final season. Interesting. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is getting a reboot. Oh, that is... Buffy the Vampire Slayer is way before my time. But if it gets a reboot, that's interesting. Glass was... TJ sent me the trailer to Glass. Glass it gives me the Watchmen feel. That's what I said. It's like a Watchmen and Lucy with Scarlett Johansson feel to it. Just like a weird, psychic, dark sort of movie to it. I think, it could be. It also has that dude from that one thriller movie with, the multiple personality events. Tom King, who is the writer of the current Batman run, he had a bodyguard because he got a lot of slack for the wedding, which is interesting because at the same time, I believe Jean Grey and Cyclops from X-Men, or one of the couples from X-Men, also had a wedding, and it was actually they got married and now they have their own duo run, where Batman and Catwoman were supposed to get married, and it's supposed to be happy times, but then they're like, Batman can't be happy because he won't be Batman. So then they shot it down, flushed it down the toilet, and people were pissed because that's not what people want. It's it was a disappointment because they spent all these weeks hyping this up, and then we get that story. So he's a good writer. I don't think he's as good as Snyder, who wrote the New 52 Batman. But it just pissed him off. So now which Batman's one of the best comic books out there currently, is now he's kind of in a dark state, and it's weird because the events that are going on, which is Doomsday Clock, and they just had no justice, are kind of before the wedding, like Doomsday Clock, and then the wedding, and then so it's just the release order is a little weird. Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I never watched StarCraft Discovery. Batwoman is getting her own TV series on the CW. That's interesting. I think that's gonna if once Arrow leaves, I think that's going in. It's gonna be interesting because if they play the whole gender card, which they probably will, then it's gonna go really south for me. And by the gender card, I mean like Batwoman's already her character's lesbian, and like that's not the problem with it. It's just that it's like when they push it too far where it just becomes about like her being lesbian is like that's when it gets problematic, when they like have to emphasize that. But I think when Arrow moves out, Batwoman will move in. I would rather see, to be honest, I'd rather see Nightwing. I'd rather if like Titans was Tim Drake Robin, and then Nightwing had his own solo film, because he's not in Gotham with Batman, and Batman's rumored to exist in CW Arrowverse. So he's not in Gotham, he's in fucking Bloodhaven, which is, a suburb to Gotham. So I'd rather see that. Which is the clown movie's getting a second movie. The Walking Dead Season 9 just needs to end. That's really all I have to say about that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I'm pretty... NBC picked it up after it got canceled from Fox. I don't know if the Fox Disney deal went through yet, but yeah, people really love that show. Doctor Who Season 11. I've never been a big Doctor Who fan, so I can't really tell you if that's like one of those series that just needs to end. I think it's just people keep going, but I don't think it ends because each season and the different Doctors just makes it fresh. Iron Fist Season 2. The first Iron Fist was honestly garbage. Iron Fist is just like not really a huge like interesting character to me. He's like for you. It's like he belongs in like a Street Fighter game or a Mortal Kombat game, and not really like as a superhero. Cause I just remember like just Danny Rand, the Iron Fist. Like it's really just a meme series. Batman: The Three Jokers is I think gonna be the next Batman event. Cause there's always this theory, or not a theory. At the end of Darkseid Wars, Batman kind of sits on the Mobius chair, and he finds out that there's three Jokers. This has been an unanswered question by DC for years. This and how Dr. Manhattan kind of took away their memories 10 years from them have been the big two questions in the DC comic book universe. And they're addressing how Dr. Manhattan took away the memories with Doomsday Clock, which I recommend you read. It's really good. And now we're finally going to get the address of the three Jokers. And if you watch the pit, look at the cover art, because that's what they revealed. The first Joker is his original appearance. The second one is from Death in the Family, which is a great comic book. You should read that. It's a legendary Batman. And the last one in the back is from The Killing Joke, which are three iconic Jokers. Obviously, the first was his first appearance, Death of Jason Todd, and when Barbara Gordon gets paralyzed, from three iconic comic books. The Joker's already he's very lively in the current run of the Marvel comic books, but like I said, the the release order of the events is kind of all jumbled up on top of each other. But the current Joker didn't make his appearance from New 52 until quite recently with Dark Knight Metal, where he was found trapped in Batman's basement for some reason. Now he's escaped, and now he's, going crazy. I hope you enjoyed this episode of It's Not a Sport. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube, our Instagram, etc., all that social media. And tune in next week for another great episode of It's Not a Sport. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.